Overview of 1 Chronicles. The book was written after the people of Israel returned from their exile in Babylon. Its main purpose was to remind them of their identity and heritage. By tracing their lineage all the way back to Adam, the author showed them that God had not forgotten them and that his promises were still true. The book then focuses almost entirely on the reign of King David, highlighting him as the ideal king whose heart was set on properly worshiping God. The Prayer of Jabez, a starting point. The prayer you've chosen is a gem, hidden within the long genealogies of the tribe of Judah. It serves as a perfect lens through which to view the entire book. 1 Chronicles chapter 4, verse 10, KJV. And Jabez called on the God of Israel, saying, "Oh, that thou wouldest bless me indeed, and enlarge my coast, and that thine hand might be with me, and that thou wouldest keep me from evil, that it may not grieve me." And God granted him that which he requested. This prayer has 4 key requests. 1. Blessing. Not just any blessing, but God's true and abundant favor. 2. Influence. Enlarge my coast means asking for more territory, more responsibility, and a greater sphere of influence for God's glory. 3. Presence. Acknowledging that success is impossible without God's power and guidance, that thine hand might be with me. 4. Protection. A plea to be kept safe from evil and the pain it causes. Jabez stands out from the long list of names because he actively sought God's power in his life, and God honored it. This is a central theme for the rest of the book. A guided walkthrough for your group. You can structure your month-long study to mirror the themes of the book, always circling back to the principles in Jabez's prayer. Week 1. Our Identity and Potential. Chapters 1 to 9. Focus on the genealogies in the Prayer of Jabez. The main idea here is that every name on that list was a real person with a story, but Jabez stood out because of his prayer. Theme. Knowing where you come from in faith gives you the confidence to ask God for a bigger future. Discussion questions. Why is it important to remember our spiritual heritage? Like Jabez, how can we ask God to bless us indeed in our current situations? What does that look like? Week 2. God's presence is everything. Chapters 10 to 16. This section covers David becoming king, and, most importantly, his passionate effort to bring the Ark of the Covenant to Jerusalem. David made mistakes, but his priority was getting the presence of God back to the center of the nation's life. Theme. True blessing and influence, enlarging our coast, only come when we make God's presence our top priority. Connection to Jabez. This mirrors the prayer, that thine hand might be with me. David knew he could not lead without God's presence. Week 3. A legacy beyond ourselves. Chapters 17 to 22. Here, God makes a covenant with David, promising him a lasting dynasty. In response, David doesn't just build his own kingdom, he begins to gather all the materials and plans for the temple, a project for his son Solomon to complete. Theme. God's blessings are not just for us, but for the generations that follow. Connection to Jabez. This is the ultimate enlarging my coast. David's influence would extend far beyond his own life, through the temple and the promised messianic line. Week 4. A heart of worship and giving. Chapters 23 to 29. The book ends with David organizing the priests and Levites for worship and leading the people in giving generously towards the building of the temple. His final words are a beautiful prayer of praise. Theme. A life that has been blessed by God naturally overflows with worship and generosity. Connection to Jabez. This shows the outcome of a life lived under God's blessing and protection. The desire is no longer just to be kept from evil, but to actively promote good and worship God for his faithfulness.